what the front office did, whether they realized it or not, was they've left nobody to blame but themselves now in this situation if this Cardinals team, is not competitive.
Katie Wu from The Athletic joining us right after opening day here. Katie, great to talk to you. Good to see you. And we'll stay on this NL Central. The St. Louis Cardinals get bopped by the Dodgers yesterday. Are Cardinals fans freaking out already?
I think they were freaking out maybe when pitchers and catchers reported. And look, here's the thing, guys. One, it's great to see you. But two, look, opening day elicits a ton of overreactions, either positive, negative, and that makes sense, right? Because it's opening day. It's all this new optimism, promise of a new season. And I think Cardinals fans were so frustrated and upset about yesterday's loss because the way the Cardinals lost mirrored pretty much every game that they lost in 2023. So you come out there on opening day and you have, again, the optimism, the excitement of a new season, and you roll out basically a tribute video to last year was what yesterday's game felt like.
So what would have been different? All the same things go a different way and they win the game? Because you still are like you're putting a Band-Aid over a dam leak.
That's a great way to put it. Look, this is not the Cardinals roster that they thought they were going to debut with. Sonny Gray is out until the first 2 weeks at least. Lars Nootbaar, Tommy Edman, and Dylan Carlson, who was supposed to be the reserve outfielder, he's hurt too. So they're playing definitely not with their A squad. But yesterday, I mean, you go out there and Miles Mikolas goes out, throws 29 pitches in the first inning, already is in a hole. Cardinals offense goes completely flat with the exception of Paul Goldschmidt. And the way the Dodgers kept attacking and adjusting off Mikolas, Betts, Freeman hit the home runs off him in the third inning. And then there's virtually no response offensively. It just felt like last season again. And I don't want to jump onto this is the same season as last year trend. It's one game, you guys. But I think the fans' frustration again stems from this one game showing a lot of similarities to last season's roster. But again, 1 out of 162, surely not a feasible sample size, but I do understand fans' frustration with the product of the game yesterday.
And one more on this game were the comments from Miles Mikolas about the Dodgers playing checkbook baseball. And I love Miles. I'm sure you do too, to cover him because he's so candid. He's so great with the media. Been a big fan of him as a person for a long time. And obviously he's facing a tough team. And he said he was hearing it from the fans, checkbook baseball. So what did you think of the line and then the reaction from Miles? Because even post-game, he just was like, all right, cool. They gave it to me. So I like that stuff. We need more of that. I'm always promoting that.
No, I agree. Talk your shit. I think it makes it much more fun. But yeah, Miles went out there and they did boo him on opening day. They showed him warming up on the scoreboard and he responded by tipping his cap in acknowledgement to the crowd. So, it's all fun and games from Miles. That's what I like about him is he's not afraid to say what he thinks or feels and he'll answer whether he's on the right side or the wrong side at the end of the outing. I think for Miles, you just saw sometimes Miles Mikolas can get almost penalized because he's so accurate in the zone. This dude throws a ton of strikes. And guys like Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, they will hit those pitches. So I think he executed. He did throw 18 out of 20 first pitch strikes. It wasn't like he was erratic or didn't have command. It's just that's a really, really good lineup. And when your name to the game is weak contact, you're going to get burned by that sometimes. And he did in the first inning. That Cardinals had the infield in, Mookie Betts on third, 1 out, and a slow rolling ground ball off the bat of Freddie Freeman leads to a run. Dodgers end up scoring 2 that inning, and that's just kind of how it snowballs from there sometimes.
Yeah, on Michaelis, yeah, like he does get penalized for being in the zone too much sometimes. I think it doesn't put enough fear in the hitters. Sometimes you got to brush them off. You got to show a little bit of erratic stuff to kind of get them uncomfortable. Because when they're comfortable, when they know you're going to be in the zone, they know they just got to pick the right zone, basically, to zone in on to make it more accurate to hit or whatever. To makes them a little bit more hittable. But yeah, what do you got on their pitching staff? Like, how do they follow up after Mikolas, and how do they, what do they got working with?
So they'll throw Zach Thompson today against Bobby Miller. Thompson was projected to be the 6th starter. He's a young lefty, was a first rounder for them. And with Zach, I think you're seeing this as his like make it or break it year in terms of if he can be a starter. And he had a hell of a spring. He was excellent, definitely deserves this opportunity. Behind the Cardinals, or behind Thompson, they'll go Lance Lynn on Saturday, Steven Matz on Sunday, and then Kyle Gibson to take on the Padres and Mike Schilt on Monday. And the reason they did this was purely matchup. Obviously, with Gray out, Miles is going to get opening day. They wanted Lance Lynn to get the home opener, which is April 4th. So then they kind of stacked from there. Steven Matz had a slow spring on purpose. It was intentional. They thought that maybe by having a slow progression over the spring, they could get his durability up, because Matz does have a pretty extensive injury history in his tenure here in St. Louis. And that essentially left a spot for either Thompson or Gibson, number 2. And given how lefty heavy the Dodgers lineup is, Ollie Marmol went for the matches there and put Thompson. So it's not a rotation that's necessarily going to strike fear in a lineup like the Dodgers, but I'm really excited to see what Thompson can do, because I thought he was really close to breaking out last year and he had a really good spring. So
What was the vibe like there? I mean, it was kind of a historic day to be at Dodger Stadium. You have Shohei's domestic debut, and this team did so much in the offseason. Dodger fans are just at peak happiness right now. And it's the regular season, so they're probably going to cruise to 100 wins. Did you feel like it was a party there?
I felt honestly overwhelmed, because there was just so much going on, and it didn't really hit me that it was opening day until the scoreboard video started and the fans started going crazy. But it felt like a playoff game almost, or maybe because I think there was just so many people there, so many media, and it was, it's in LA, so it's a star-studded event. But once the actual opening day festivities started, I was like, okay, there is a baseball game here today, so we should probably lock it in. Incredible environment, though. I like just opening the season at home, but if there was one place that I would choose to be for this year, it'd be LA. So it worked out really well. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was really fun. And Dodgers fans, I went into the crowd and we're talking to fans about Ohtani and everything that's going on with that situation. And they were not deterred at all. It was like full throttle, super excited. This is a $1 billion baseball team, so you should be excited about it. I think that if I could pick anywhere to have opened the season, it would have been LA, even if it was a crazy, intense, hectic day.
If this series continues to go the direction that it's going, as you said, oh no, 2023 2.0, is the opening day for the Cardinals going to not quite have the same luster after they signed 3 new pitchers and like, hey, you know what? Brush it off, brush your shoulders off. But if they lose 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers, what kind of reception do you think the team's going to get? Because Cardinals fans are nice, but nice is only because they constantly are in the playoffs and they're constantly a World Series contender. What kind of nice are they going to see when they get home?
Well, that's a really good question. So they have 3 more games here in LA. They'll go to San Diego against their former manager, Mike Schilt, after this. That dude's going to manage the game or those 3 games like it's the World Series. So they have a pretty brutal start in terms of needing to win those games. And then they get to St. Louis for the Marlins, an old bench coach and NL reigning manager of the year, Skip Schumacher. So a lot of emotional ties that I think would maybe further that angst. But the fans that show up to Busch Stadium every day are very, very nice. They're good fans. They're very engaged with the game. They're very insightful. But I think it's a good point and a good question to ask is how will they receive the team if this team gets off to a bad start? I mean, already the frustration is evident and fans are going to be fans. And I guess, the online portion doesn't represent the entire fan base. I still think it'll be festivities because it's St. Louis. It's a baseball town. It's opening day is basically like second Christmas around there. But yeah, I think this is a fan base that wants to be optimistic, but it won't take much for them to turn. So I think it'll be important for the Cardinals to find a way to win at least half these games out here and then try to just play a 500 April. They have a really brutal first month, and then we can see how the season plays out from there.
Yeah, I think what'll help them too is it's a mid-division. I think we knew going into the season it wasn't going to be great, but with the Reds injuries and now the Cubs losing Steele, I think the division might just keep them involved for a while. So hopefully that helps for Cardinals fans. I wanted to ask you about the manager situation because we haven't had you on since. So you mentioned Schilt. I agree. He's going to be like, we're sweeping this team. There was a lot of beef between him and the org. So comparing that to the current situation where I would say Ollie Marmol's Q rating among fans is not as high as Mike Schilt, and yet he gets an extension. So what was your take on how that all went down and how fans are feeling about it?
Yeah, so I was pretty surprised when I caught wind of this extension coming, and I talked to John Mozeliak, their president of baseball ops, a couple days after, and he said, "Yeah, Ollie basically had no idea it was coming. I surprised him." And then I talked to Ollie, and he said that is a true statement. So the timing of the extension from a fan standpoint, I think, was a little crazy. But after talking to the people in the org, it does make sense. Ollie was in the final year of his contract. I don't think Bill DeWitt Jr., the ownership group, and Mo had any like inclination to make a managerial change. So why let Ollie walk into 2024 as a lame duck manager? Because then, if this April snowballs into an April like that mirrors last year, for example, then Ollie's employment status becomes a distraction for this team. So the philosophy was, let's just lock him up for the next 3 years. He's not going to go anywhere or any. We want him to stay. He's not going anywhere. So why don't we just make this official before the season starts? Now, what the front office did, whether they realized it or not, was they've left nobody to blame but themselves now in this situation if this Cardinals team, is not competitive. So by locking up Ollie, I think they did the right thing because he does have the backings of that clubhouse. He is respected by his coaching staff. It's just now, if this team spirals, and again, it's been one game, but if this team spirals, then it's Mo who's answering the questions at this time. And to be fair, he's the one who did build this roster.
Katie, I got a couple questions about Victor Scott. One,
Let's do it.
how many bags do you think he's going to steal? And also, do you think he will hit?
Okay. Oh man, this dude, I feel like he's anytime he gets on base, he's got the green light. So he stole 94 last year, I believe. When was the last time baseball had 100 steals in a season? That would be if I could pick a nice round number, I'd pick that one. This dude,
Wow.
he impacts the game just by getting on base. I mean, Cardinals didn't have a lot of action, but he definitely made Mookie Betts rush his throw for an error to get on base. And then, Glass now knows he's stealing, so he's pulling everything coming across his body, bounce a changeup because that Scott's going to run. So maybe that can be my bold prediction. I'm not very good at hot takes, so maybe I'll do that one. But yeah, I think the bat's going to be the biggest question. But that's always kind of the biggest questions with these defense first guys. I remember having the same conversation about Mason Wynn when he first came up, and he did struggle. You're supposed to struggle when you get to the big leagues. There's a big learning curve that even the most talented guys, have trouble adjusting to. Baseball is a game of adjustments. So the good news is if Victor does struggle, and I don't anticipate him doing so, but if he does, Lars Nootbaar is going to be back in a couple of weeks. Tommy Edmonds on the mend. He doesn't have to fight for this organization to stay afloat like a lot of the guys did last year. If he does struggle, he can go back to AAA, adjust there, because remember, he skipped AAA entirely, and then he can come back. But I do think the Cardinals figure that he'll be a dynamic player for them. So it's just a matter if he can hit for contact or find a way to get on base, and then the rest will take care of itself because that defense and that speed, that's legit.
Katie, you've been on here, I think 4 times now. You've been on our show. You're one of my favorite guests to have on because you bring the Cardinals real, but you got to bring it real. We need a number. This is BetMGM's show here about baseball. We need Victor Scott's number. You can't just throw 100 out there and
Yes, you
make me
can.
start looking at odds. I need to hear a number. What's the number so I can choose?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. This isn't Todd Frazier's not on right now. We don't play both sides of the fence.
You're right. I'll do 75.
Wow. But even that, think
75.
about that. I mean,
Yeah.
Acuna led last year, I think, what did he have, 71 or 2, something like that, right? Low 70s. So
And he played
if
every
that's
day.
the case, and he played every day, if that's the case, this season, Victor Scott would probably lead the league in stolen bags. It's pretty impressive.
Well, he's got one already.
Heard,
So.
He does.
heard it here first. Katie Woo.
Hey, I'm all about it. I agree, Katie. If he stays up on the big league roster, I think he's stealing 70 plus. So I'm with you.
So say it, Scott. Which is it, 70 or 75? You got to take the over-under. And don't just take the
On
easy
70
under.
What, over under on 75 for Victor Scott?
Katie said it, 74 and a half.
Here's the reason why I'll go under that number this year. I do think, Katie, that he could go through a slump and they could either demote him or sit him a little bit because there's depth and there's guys coming back. I think that's the only thing that could hold him back. If he's playing, he's stealing 75 bags if he's playing every day. But that's where I'll take the under just because I'm not sure if he's totally ready yet. Did he play at all in AAA? He was only a AA guy, right? Yeah. So hit tool's good. It's not great. So that would be where I'll put the risk against him playing the whole season as a starter.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, guys, I did project the Cardinals to win. I took the over on 94 wins last year. So
You and AJ, not Ramos, AJ Brzezinski.
Brzezinski, yeah.
I really thought they were going to be good. My bad.
I don't think anyone saw that coming. The nightmare that it turned into. But Katie, great catching up with you. Enjoy game 2 in LA, and we'll catch you soon.
You got it, guys. Thanks so much.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.